Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniXTCG, and today we are going to be going over a video focusing on whether blue so far is to be deemed a winner or a loser of set 2. I am a little bit under the weather, so I apologize if I have to clear my throat every now and then, but we are going to dive into this topic. I wanted to put all of them in one video, and I realized that even missing 90 cards of the set, and yes, we are missing a whole bunch of rares, uncommons, and commons, that there's a lot of information to go over, and it didn't all fit into one video if all 4 colors were in there. So with that being said, we're going to do it right here, and if we can get this video over 100 likes, that'd be much appreciated. I love the support, and I thank you guys for it. And then past that, I want to let you guys know that we are still doing all the things on the Patreon. We got the Breaking Down Red article coming out in about 2 days, followed by Yellow next week and Blue the week after that, and then we should be right on time for set 2 content. So with that being said, let us hop into whether I think Blue is a winner or loser for set 2. So to start off the assessment of Blue, we have to start off with its leader, and that is going to be Zamasu this set. One thing we have to realize is that Zamasu is a Awaken at 3 leader, but once he flips over, he is Blue's first 25k leader, putting him in the likes of decks like Broly. And we all know that that extra 5k is essential. An extra 5k means your opponent has to line up 25k shots with you. That also means if they swing with 20s, they have to go up. It also means that when they do send a 25 at you, instead of having to drop a 10k or 2 cards, you can only have to drop a 5k. So in terms of defense, just much harder to attack on. The activate main is once per turn. 1, discard 1 card from your hand, and if your life is at 2 or less, add the top card of your deck to your life. So ideally, you're going to use this to stay at about 2 to 3 life for the rest of the game. Now, the issue here, the primary issue here, this is not One Piece. There are not cards that come out of your life and give you free effects. So when you put a card to the top of from the top of your deck to your life, it's not getting you anything except for, just another life, being a little further away from death. The other thing here is that Blue does have some filter, and we're getting some more this set. However, this is going to be a tax of your hand. You're already going to be comboing defensively, sometimes offensively, not with a little less of a 25k leader, but you're eventually going to run out of hand. This is just a drain. The other thing I'd like to put here is that this is technically a boon to Blue because you are having a discard outlet, and discard outlet on your leader is going to keep you very close to 7, easily manipulating your hand while gaining life. Now, the drawback here is that you also, if that life gets put down and you get crit, you just discarded a card from hand to then get crit. And unlike the game that lots of people can compare this to, because lots of people compare this guy to an L, is that we have way more critical in this game than One Piece has banished. There is a fair amount of critical in this game, and the ability to let this guy discard a card to gain a life only to have it crit away is particularly scary. We have to see how this plays out, but at this moment, I would not put this card above Trunks. And I would have a hard time even putting it above Vegeta, especially if we get some support. Like Android 17 in this set got some very Android 17 specific support. If we see that with Trunks or Vegeta, I'm not sure how I feel about this leader in general. So when it comes to leaders, just right off the bat, I don't necessarily see Zamasu as a buff to Blue. Not yet. I'd have to see more. At this moment, it's just another card that maybe can see play. Maybe with some of the new cards, we'll see something that feels a little different. But yeah, I definitely just see this card as like a little bit too little. Doesn't plus on the backside. The life gain isn't as spectacular as we maybe want it to be. But like I said, there's still time. Then we're moving on to the SR Zamasu. That's a 2-cost 20k with 5k combo power. Those stats are pretty great. Permanent discard can be removed from the battle area by your opponent's skills, and then when attacking, discard 1 card from your hand, draw 1 card. So this guy is interesting for a few ways. One, he's not dead. He's a 5k counter. He's got great stats for 20k. He's got vanilla stats for a 20k while having an effect. Kind of just overtuned, but Zamasu, we need an overtuned Zamasu. The fact that he can't be removed from the battlefield or battle area from your opponent's skills means that he cannot be destroyed by green, he cannot be bounced nor tucked by blue, and he cannot be destroyed by any effects that yellow might have as well. He can be -0, reduced to 0, and then he leaves the field from a game state check. So just understand this guy has no invulnerabilities versus red. However, yeah, against the other colors, he's extremely sticky. Now, when attacking, discard one card from your hand, draw one card. This doesn't have a hand limit, and this is the card. This is the thing I like about it. Like, this might find its way into any blue deck. This is a blue staple in general, I believe, because realistically, you have to swing over him, and blue is already good at comboing. But on top of that, every turn he turns sideways, he's going to filter your worst card for a new card. And I think that should not be underestimated. I think this card is one of the better cards to be seen coming out of the spoilers for this set. Does it take blue to an area that it hasn't been already? Not really, because you still have to have the cards drawn to. If you don't have good cards drawn to, what's the point of drawing all these cards? So we're still kind of at a weird space for this. Moving on to the next one, we got Zamasu Fused. 25k, 4 cost, 5k combo. When attacking, if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, draw a card. When KO'd, play this card from your drop in rest mode, then you can't play Zamasu Fused for the turn. This is where we start getting funny, because this is stacking up well. This guy has a 7 or fewer cards in hand, draw a card clause, right? However, if you have 7 cards in hand and you attack with Zamasu Fused for 25, you're gonna draw a card. Then you could just, swing with Zamasu. Like, it's not a straight plus, but these 2 cards in tandem on the field make their own draw engine, to be honest. You're cycling up to 2 cards per turn, and then you also have your leader swing as well. So you can actually go up quite well if you're not playing the Zamasu leader to just build hand size. These are sticky threats. One can't be removed, one will unless it gets minus to 0. Remember that, if it doesn't get minus to 0. Now this guy is weak to blue removal though. Like, green can pop him and he comes back. Some blue cards or some red cards will pop him, but most of the time, red is going to minus him to 0, and blue is going to bounce him back to hand or bottom deck him, and that gets around both these effects. So he's actually not as sticky as you would think. The other Zamasu is stickier, but you've got some offensive threats, solid in stats, a little sticky, and they both will speed you through your deck. So the better cards we see in that rare uncommon common slot to draw into, the better these cards will be, because we'll have things to draw into. So I'm liking this. Also note that being a 4 cost, you can bring this guy back off of Goku Black if that is the play. And going into Goku Black to play this guy, to then attack with this guy and get another card in hand, you're going to be smooth moving. So do not underestimate that. Next, we are on the last SR for blue, and that is this 3 cost Vegito. It is a 3 cost, 25k, 5k combo power. Permanent on your turn. If you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, reduce the cost of battle cards in your opponent's battle area by 1. On play, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with 1 or less and place it at the bottom of its owner's deck. The cool thing about this that a lot of people aren't understanding is that this card gets better the more you see him. The more of them you have on the field. Like, let's say you played Vegito last turn and he's stuck, all right? Sometimes it just happens. There are times, so he's got 25k attack. There are going to be some times where he sticks. He just came out and bottom decked a 2-drop, which is great in defense. Maybe he attacked another 2-drop. Maybe your leader followed up with that. But now we're getting to a point where you can play another Vegito, and as long as you played him from 8 to 7 cards in hand, you are now looking at a Vegito coming down and bottom decking a 3-drop or less. And now your opponent's like, oh, well, crap. That sucks. Like, they just bottom deck a 3-drop and I still have 2 Vegitos. There's a point where you have this card up. If you have 2 of them on the board, if you've just gotten to a point where your opponent could not remove or anything in La La Land, like, sometimes it happens. I know it's not probable to happen, but if this is a weird card because he demands removal. 2 of these guys on the board will let you final flash 8-drop or 7-drops. It'll let you sickle up to 6-drops. There are a lot of things that this deck or this card enables, so you just have to kind of be careful, because unchecked, this guy is going to allow a blue deck to bottom deck a lot. So I think this guy will require more testing. We need to see how the format goes, but depending on the format, like if we see more yellow cards, more yellow decks than red and green, this card will instantaneously gain value because of what it's able to drop, what it's able to get over. So I don't think really that should be discounted. And then next, we're going to go to a card that a lot of people have been talking about. We have got Vegito SER. A lot of people have been buzzing about this. It's a 30k, 5 cost, 5 combo power. And I've been saying a couple times that people pointed out in the last video, I kept saying bottom deck. I knew it was bounce. I read it right the first time and I assessed it as bounce. I know it's not a bottom deck, but on play, choose up to one of your opponent's blue cards with a cost of 5 or less, return to its owner's hand. Activate main once per turn. If you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, switch this card to active mode. Usually in a tempo struggle, bouncing cards back to hand is going to be wild. There's a reason why 3-drop Trunks on Frieza was still a very strong play. It's because they still had to tap 5 to play it again. And if that's their best play, then they weren't really doing anything else that turn. You just have to out-combo the Frieza, and you're pretty much fine. So bouncing a card back to hand is still pretty good. Not to mention, again, with the other Vegito, if you're playing this guy, you can bounce up to 6 costs to hand, which could be very detrimental. The fact that the activate main is a once per turn, you can attack and then just bounces back. If you want to keep it in active mode, force them to have to tap it and then deal with it in yellow. This guy swinging for 30k twice is pressure. Your opponent has to drop 15k or a super combo or an extra card to stop this. So when he goes sideways 30k twice, that is going to be pressure. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but especially the fact that this guy has a 5k combo power, he might actually be like the first SCR that you definitely want to run 3 of. Outside of the Frieza, we have to see, because Frieza might be a 2 of just because of how late it comes in your curve, but this is not a bad top end. I think Goku Black is still good, but I actually like this guy a lot too, and I am going to be excited to actually test to see how Blue is going to be, because I have some interesting takes on Blue, but that's for another video, another Patreon article, you know what I'm saying? So that is that. Now, real quick, we are going to talk about our sponsors and let you guys know a little bit of their deal. So let's actually talk about my sponsors for a second. First off, we've got Mystic TCG. They are based in Missouri. They hold events. You can pre-order or order all of your TCG needs from their store. And there is a link in the description to go and use my code as a discount. On top of that, Eden also buys collections. He sells singles, he buys singles. So if you have any needs, anything whatsoever, you can go to him. He's at most North American events. And if you need to know whether he's showing up, just shoot a message on the Facebook group and he will respond to you in time. Or ask me and I'll ask him. It is what it is. Point being, he buys all your stuff. Secondly, we have got G3 up in Canada. If you are one of them Canadian boys, you have right here the best opportunity to have events, buy product, pre-order product, buy singles, and what have you. So with that being said, we are going to hop back into the content and I will just keep talking about my thoughts on Blue. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. So coming off of that, what we have now is Vegito. A lesser Vegito, really. It's a 2 cost 20k, 0 combo power. When KO, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 2 or less and place at the bottom of its deck. This is very interesting. So against green, this doesn't really do anything. Against yellow, oh my gosh, this does a lot. They have to just take this 20k, and if they ever get rid of it, you're just bottom decking something on their board. That's just pretty much how it goes. Now in the blue mirror, this card is not for this world. Like it's a 0 combo, which a fair amount of cards are not now in blue. On top of that, there's a lot of ways to bounce this, a lot of ways to tuck this, and he won't ever gets effect. Against red, it's, yeah, they will do a lot to get rid of this card. Now they can't get rid of it with SR Goku, but they can minus it down to 0. This actually might be a little stickier than against red than you would think, because a lot of cards in red will either KO something this low, or you just reduce it down to like 5k and then attack it and hope it goes. But you can't really do that if you don't want it to get blown out. So I do think that this actually might have more legs in red, against red, than you previously had thought. But I don't think it's safe against the mirror. So if blue ever becomes a good color, this card is just a liability. And it being a 0 cost in hand really does hurt it something fierce. Moving over to Shin, right? Very, 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 very special, because a lot of the Zamasus, the few Zamasus, have Potara, and all of the Vegitos have Potara. And this guy right here is just a 5k, 1 cost, 5k combo that says on play, look at the top card of top 5 cards off the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Potara and its special traits, add it to your hand, place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any random order. And that right there is going to get you into your Vegeta cards and your Fused Zamasu cards. And if they put any more Fused Zamasu cards out, we're going to see those too. Now, I am a little upset that Goku Black does not have Potara, because I'm a fan of Dokkan, and in Dokkan, he does have Potara. Anybody wearing a Potara has Potara, so that means like Supreme Kais, Kabitos, Vegitos, Zamasus, Fused Zamasus, all part of the Potaras. And so it's just kind of a little sad that it doesn't have it. But, that being said, we've got a 4-cost 30k 5k combo value, and then when attacking, if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, the cost of 2 or less to place at the bottom of their owner's deck. This guy is very special because he can be played for 2 in Goku Black. This is a direct buff for Goku Black, and realistically, it's going to help Goku Black deal with red and yellow matchups, because you'll be able to bounce a Zamasu, you'll play a Zamasu, bounce a 1-drop, right? Then you can put the Zamasu down at the bottom of your deck, and then play out this guy for 2, and then attack and have him bottom deck these 2-drops. What's more, if his effect is live and you've already been able to play something like, I don't know, a Vegito, you know, that's like, you can play a Vegito and bounce a 1-cost, which means you got a 2-cost out of the way. Sorry, tuck a 1-cost. Like in a perfect curve, like if you're playing a Goku Black deck, you could be like, okay, tap 3 Vegito, bounce that 2-drop, or sorry, tuck that 2-drop to the bottom of your deck. Cool. Next turn, Zamasu. Tuck another 2-drop. Let me just like put that out there. If as long as you're at the correct number in hand, you can actually do something like play the Zamasu that bounces or that tucks a 1-drop, and you can tuck a 2-drop because Vegito is lowering it to a 2, or to from a 2 to 1. Then you can tuck your Zamasu to play this Goku Black for 2, and then attack with this Goku Black to put another thing. So that's 3 2-drops to the bottom of the deck in but 2 turns. There are some plays creeping up that are a little interesting in blue, and I can't wait to see the rares and the uncommons and the commons, because this is something that you should actually be able to pay attention to. So yeah, this guy is a direct buff to Goku Black, and I think that the level manipulation is very interesting, and I want to see how that goes in the future. And then we have a card that a lot of people have been talking about, and that is Zeno. So Zeno, 6-cost, 20k, 10k combo value. And I've been talking a lot about this one in my other video, but and that one's fresh, so there's no need to really retread. But I do think that this card is interesting. Being a 10k means it's never dead. I can see this being an inclusion to any blue deck at about 2 cards. If you see him, is good, but by the time you see him, it's a late game. And yes, there are going to be some situations where you and your opponent are both sitting with all of your gas in field, but you're a blue deck. As long as you have 1 peel-off in hand, provided peel-off does not get eroded in set 2, then you are able to build up your hand completely from scratch. So essentially, you're able to, especially in a deck like Trunks, we can use peel-off twice. So playing a Zeno and bouncing or tucking everything on the board down while your opponent only has like 4 or 5 cards in hand, and then you're able to follow up that next turn with your peel-off shenanigans, I think it's just actually pretty juicy. And then the last card we're going to talk about here, Time Ring. Activate main, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck and place them at the top or bottom, any order, draw 1 card. This is literally Ponder, if you played Magic. And I think that because it has no combo value, that puts it a little lower down the list. But if we ever get a good control deck, an actual control deck, a deck that draws cards, sit back, protects itself, and then eventually destroys with like some huge critical threat, Time Ring is going to be that dude, because Time Ring is going to find you your pieces to find and play in sequence. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, place them top or bottom of your deck in order, drawing a card. Yeah, this is it. You can literally rearrange your top 3 and then be like, yep, and then draw 1. This card is good, and it's Patar as well, so Shin can search it out. You can literally go Shin into Time Ring and then just, you know, get your hand even more consistent. So I do think this card has its place. We just have to see if it has its place now or if it's just going to sit until later. And with that being said, that is where these blue cards lay. I'm going to say that blue is not the biggest loser in this set, because blue has actually gained enough cards that push it outside of where it was. I still think I need to see more. I'm still crossing my fingers for a bottom deck anything extra card at this point, but I think if we had to look at this now, blue has more filtering. It's going to speed through its deck more than ever. It's got it's got a cost reduction, which is going to go into so many cards when it comes to bottom decking, like Sickle, like Final Flash, or bouncing to hand when it comes to cards like Trunks, or I think Trunks is like really any card. No, Trunks can get up from 5. The leader card can get up from 3. I think this is really going to, these cards benefit blue in a good way. A lot of people don't want to admit it. A lot of people are just upset that Vegito doesn't come down. It's in the game with like quadruple strike. But I think that blue got a lot of help this set, and I think there's a lot of room for it to get more help this set. We still got to see those rares and uncommons and commons. So yeah, I don't think it's the biggest loser. I think it's not the biggest winner. I if you want a place on it, I think with these 4 colors, this is number 3 from the top. If number 1 is the biggest winner, I think blue is probably number 3. And so, yeah, we'll see what these other ones are momentarily. And yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. And right before we leave, I just want to give a special shout out to the Patreon members. We have got a lot of people out here doing the thing, and I want to just give a special shout out to the people that make this the I don't know, best thing I could be doing right now. We got the Realm of Xers. These are the highest tier of the Patrons. You got the Big Daddy Flapjacks, the Burars, the Bryce R's, the Kevin I's, and newly the Mario V's, as well as Mr. Top Deck. And you get the Universe Aristocrats, and that's Eric R, Exilion, Jonathan B, and that's just awesome. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Thank you all for being in here. We've got new articles coming out, and we're going to start doing some new ideas on there. I think I'm going to start putting my day-to-day thoughts, maybe every other day thoughts, on how the meta is going to be in set 2. I'm going to give you guys some early access. Some early access to my thoughts before they get put into full-fledged videos, and we're going to see how that rolls out. So thank you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.